Now do it.
All right. You're tuned into the Break It Down show. We are live from the Anaheim Convention Center for NAMM 2022, which unusually is taking place in the summer. So this is typically summer NAMM used to be in Nashville, and winter NAMM, which was the big one, took place here at the Anaheim Convention Center in January. But because of the pandemic, we're readjusting. So NAMM is now taking place for the first time in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right here in Anaheim, Pete's backyard. And we're glad to be here.
Big shout out, thanks to JBL and AKG for setting up this media center. We're able to go live, and hopefully the sound is pretty good. I'm going to check it here in a moment on my phone. But it's a really neat thing. There's going to be 100,000 people here, and we're literally in the middle of it. So sort of like we're like Super Bowl reporters or something like that.
That's right.
Yeah. I want to also introduce, we have Sean with us as one of our crew members. Hopefully DJ Severe is going to show up here in a moment, but let me let's go to Sean. Hey, Sean.
Hey, how are you?
We're all good.
Yep.
I'm gonna put my hand up here.
Yeah, I can tell you, I don't care if it's summertime or wintertime. This is an absolute playground. If you're a musician or you're into AV gear, doesn't matter. This place is amazing.
Yeah. John, we've been coming here a lot. It's ridiculous. Like the people that we know, that we get to see, the friends, and all that stuff. But what's exciting to you, apart from like, and look, seeing the friends is going to be the best part about it.
Yes.
But what else is exciting to you?
Well, just that we're having it again, and to see everybody excited about it, because there's a lot of people charged up about the fact that we get to have a NAMM, because we haven't had one in 2.5 years. But it's a little smaller. I think that there are a couple of large vendors who couldn't make it in because of the short timeline. So we're looking forward to seeing them when we kick back into full swing. Still, this is going to be the largest convention at the Anaheim Convention Center, which I believe is the biggest convention center on the West Coast. So we're still expecting 100,000 attendees for NAMM. That's a lot of people. And companies like AKG and JBL, who sponsored this media center for us, are coming in full force. There's a full-size big rig ISO trailer that they pulled into the convention center, which is really cool. Not sure exactly what their route was to getting it in here, but some absolute pro drove this monstrosity in here so that we could have mission control. And then I'm looking forward to just wandering back through the drum center to see who is new here, who has expanded, and looking forward to, like you said, seeing a lot of our old friends. How about you?
Well, I want to take a moment and just say hey to Wes, maybe, who we met here at NAMM, and Duncan, who we also met, not here this year.
Yep.
Our good friends from Benicia. We got all of the Dunlop folks that aren't here. They're not presenting this year.
Wow, yeah.
Wanted to mention them. Mike C., who's not here.
Right.
A lot of folks are like, on the fence, Yeah. So we're just saying hey to all those guys, and we're gonna miss seeing them. But still, I'm looking, and there's 100 people right there. There's just so many people everywhere around here. What am I looking forward to? After convention cocktails, those are awesome.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to just kind of wandering around and letting things jump out and be like, oh, this is fascinating. And just in general, all of the gear, all the people, and then the music. The music is outrageous here.
Yeah, as it always is. I think this year, because everybody's back on the road and touring for summer, we're probably going to miss out. I know typically the Yamaha stage is the biggest thing, and year after year, that enormous event has been MD'd by our friend Nathan East. He's on the road with Eric Clapton right now, so he's not going to be on the Yamaha stage tonight.
No.
The other thing I'm really looking forward to is watching Sean make his way through this thing for the first time. So,
oh man,
what do you think, Sean?
Oh, dude, yeah, this is not a good place for me. This is like, I'm already an addict. This is my first time to NAMM, and I've got this small collection of guitars and keyboards, and now I'm like, oh, this is gonna be awful. I think I'm gonna sell my house and buy everything I see. I mean, Rhodes is back. I'm excited that Rhodes is back as an actual real set of keys. I grew up, with this Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, and just love that groove. And now it's real and it's back. Yeah. And as a keys player growing up, everything consolidated in the 80s, and all these instruments from the B3 to the Rhodes and the Whirly and the clave, they all just came into like digital form, and it sucked, and it's still that way up until now.
Yeah.
So now there are new organ companies. Hammond has presence here in Rhodes and Whirly clave. It's pretty cool.
We were just waxing nostalgic about Rhodes
We were
on our way down here.
We were how like, oh man, it doesn't exist anymore. Nobody wants to haul the B3 on the road. They don't only take 5 keyboards with them, but that's the ultimate player. When you go back and you watch bands, you see Boston, you see whoever it is in the 70s, 80s, they've got all the gear on the stage, and I think it might be coming back. That'd be great.
Now, one of your jobs for being here is you have to go get us a couple of stories.
Oh, that's right.
Targeted.
Oh, I want to talk to the, if Rhodes has an executive here, I'd love to chat with them, talk to them. I got to meet Joey DeFrancisco. I've never met the guy. He's the best B3 player in the entire world. I was hoping Fender would be here. I want to chat with him about some of their product lines, but that's not going to happen today. So we'll see.
All right.
Yeah, there are other guitar manufacturers here. Yesterday we were at, I don't know, we were upstairs somewhere, and they were unloading a pallet of guitars to hang on this enormous wall, and we just saw
that's right.
Big pallet that there must have been 60 guitars just stacked up in cases, and we just sat there wondrously looking at what might be in that big pile.
Yeah, I've got picks in pocket. I'm ready to go, man. So I get off this couch and I'm gonna just smile for hours and hours.
Yeah, you came back in picks.
I did. Oh yeah. It's you gotta play with. It's like testing keys with somebody else's fingers. You gotta have the pick that you play with. I think it's like going to Guitar Center and you got this paper thin pick they give you. It does you no good, I think.
Now DJ Severe is here in house somewhere, John. Do you see him anywhere?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, I got to text him. I'm going to work on getting him over here. Okay. You guys keep chatting. I'm going to change over to your camera and do some behind the scenes work in front of the camera.
All right.
That's right. Behind the scenes in front of the camera. So with the vendors who are here, it's a wide variety. It's all of the musical instrument industry comes to this thing, and then all of what exists in its periphery, which of course includes the greatest players in the world. And since we're in the greater Los Angeles area, a lot of those greatest players are right here on the spot. So we're going to see a lot of people. We're going to see a lot of instrument manufacturers busting out all of their new gear. And like Sean and I are excited about bringing back some of their old stuff. The last time we were here with, happened to be wandering in the halls of the Hilton with our friend Tina Abazadeh, who is probably going to be here. And she introduced me to Roger Smith from Tower of Power, who is a B3 player, and they're one of the acts that drags around enormous Leslie speakers and
That's
a great
right.
big B3. And Roger is magnificent. And they played here last year on the Yamaha stage. We're also going to visit tomorrow our friend Larry Batiste and our friend Claytoven Richardson, who are co-MDing the Tech Awards. So we're going to go tomorrow afternoon, visit Soundcheck, and get a taste of what the band's going to be like, and that monstrous band they put together every year.
Oh, that'll be good.
That's going to be fun. And then we'll be at the Tech Awards tomorrow night. During those Tech Awards, they're going to honor some of the best gear that's been released this year, and a lot of the gear manufacturers have been hard at work. Engineers going to work. This is one of the industries that really flourished during the pandemic. So engineers have been hard at work. There's been a lot of new gear out. They've been selling a ton of gear, and we're going to see some of that gear on display for the Tech Awards. They're also honoring 2 people for the Les Paul Award this year.
Right.
One of whom is the great bassist Carol Kay.
Wow.
We're excited about that.
More to come on that, hopefully.
Yeah, much more.
We're working on trying to put together like a little mini podumentary, if you will. So we're putting podumentary, and we'll be putting some effort into that. But also the other awardee is it's hard to do off the top of your head.
Yeah.
Fishman? No, wait.
And now that you've asked me, of course, it flies out of my head. Doggone it.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed that I don't know the name.
Well,
right
I'll
off
pull
the
it
top of my
up
head.
while you guys are
He's a very
talking.
famous dude.
Yeah.
And I'll
He's
tell
a
you
Hall of
what he
Famer.
did. Yes, he was a record producer. He actually lived with. This is the funny part. He lived with Paul McCartney, and
Wow.
they lived in London together. While they were living in London, and this is Paul McCartney smack dab in the Beatles era. He discovered James Taylor.
Oh, come on.
Wow.
And James Taylor had been, he just kind of was slumming around London because he ran out of things to do here on his own continent. So he went over to London, as many artists did back then, like Jimi Hendrix, and as some of our friends are doing now, like Cornell Carter, who run out of things to do in the U.S., so they go over to London, and then people love them in London. So this is the very thing that happened to James Taylor while he was over there and recorded his first album over there.
Would that be Peter Asher?
It was Peter Asher.
Yeah, yeah.
We sat here and forgot about Peter Asher.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, there are so many names, right? Like you were just talking about Cornell, and Cornell's been on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, say hi to Cornell. You got to say hi to
Steve.
Matt Hoy. These guys
Matt
do
Hoy.
great things.
Yeah.
And so you never know who you're going to see here. Almost 100% sure that Jimmy Jam will be in the building at some point. Stevie Wonder will be in the building at some point.
Yeah.
So Peter Asher, totally normal.
Yep.
I mean, it's a who's who of the legends of music
Yep.
at this event in general, and then at the Tech Awards also Hall of Fame inductees and awardees. Not to mention that they also let's talk about Tech Awards for a second if we can.
Okay.
I'm going to go over to your camera over here.
All right.
With the Tech Awards, when they identify things like right here is the Zoom H6, right here is the Roland V1 HD. These are things that they consider, but it could be this cable, that cable, this mic stand, this music. It could be any part of the music industry that's
All
not
things that are
necessarily an
important.
instrument, right?
That's right.
That you have to have, like this rack-mounted system.
Yeah.
The Focusrite, a product that you own, was recognized.
That's right.
But we also have a Hall of Fame for products, and we did a podumentary about the 808 because the Roland 808 went in, and how great.
A very important piece of gear, and not just important to music history. That piece of gear is important to me. So it's one of those things that happens where you can make fun of us as an industry celebrating a piece of gear, but the Roland Tr808 specifically was a programmable drum machine that had what some people. I mean, it was a failure as a product
Right.
when it came out, and the problem at the time was that those sounds didn't sound like drum sounds; they sounded artificial. But then, if you think about the impact of the Roland Tr808 bass drum on music, specifically on hip hop, and then on pop music bleeding over after that. I remember when I bought my first really good sounding Carr stereo system.
Yeah.
Because I needed to drive around with the knock in my car.
That's right.
For the ladies.
Knocking.
And I remember listening specifically to amp speaker combinations that could fit in my car and listening to what the 808 kick drum sounded like.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the most important factor was when I turn on, whatever my favorite songs are. At the time, my litmus song was Ice Cube's No Vaseline. There was a specific sound in the end of the second verse where he said something and it was punctuated by that punctuation. I said, let me hear that in a number of stereos. And the one that I ended up buying a Denon deck with a Fosgate amplifier. And it was because it won on that specific piece of punctuation.
Did you have any crossovers?
It made my, of course, it massaged my back. So
Like a Theragun.
that specific experience in my life and in my musical, in my musical pleasure,
Yeah.
history of musical pleasure, was really driven specifically by the TR808.
I want to mention a couple people because the TR808 is one of those things, failed piece of equipment.
Yep.
Decades later, in every producer's stable as a thing they use all the time. David Audet, who's got more #1 hits than anybody you're ever going to meet.
That's right.
Well,
Dr. Dre.
How about Dr. Dre? He still uses it all the time, every day probably. All these guys said the same thing, like always using it all the time.
Always.
Maybe the Lynn drum was another thing that they still use.
It's in the Hall of Fame.
We had Egyptian Lover on the show, and that's his instrument.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, we nerd out. We celebrate pieces of gear sometimes, but that's why. And then when we do those kinds of things, we stumble upon the Vincent Van Goghs of musical instruments.
Right. Such as
not appreciated during its lifespan.
Yeah.
But celebrated and even canonized after.
Tell them about Don.
Oh yeah, and then one of the greatest relationships that I treasure, is our friend Don. He is responsible actually for the programmable drum machine. And if it weren't for him, Kako Takahashi, the founder of Roland, would never have concentrated resources on making a drum machine programmable.
Right.
Because
he was a musician. You had the musician and you had like the engineer.
Yeah.
And he's like, I need to be able to control this thing. I need to be able to control attack, decay. I need these different sounds. I need it to be musical. And so Don changed his thing. He's like, how did you make this thing operate this way?
Well, and in NAMM full circle, the guy we're talking about is Don Lewis. And Don Lewis was so instrumental in the sounds that we hear on the radio. He actually was responsible for creating the sounds for the Yamaha DX7. And so you can think of 1,000 songs from Tears for Fears, from Prince, When Doves Cry, all of the sounds that are in there. You think of that, dun, 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 dun. That sound specifically was dialed in and programmed for the Yamaha DX7 by Don Lewis. And when you think about his contribution to music, it's ridiculous. And I had breakfast with Don and Julie Lewis at their home. We had eggs and donuts. And I love them so much. They've become just dear friends. And I met them from Larry. I was introduced to Don by Larry Batiste.
Go on about Larry Batiste for a minute.
Larry Batiste was our guest last week on the Break It Down show, recorded from my living room. Larry Batiste is so influential in Bay Area music, and he is the musical director, along with Claytoven Richardson, his musical co-conspirator. They are the John and Pete of musical directing.
We're trying to be the Larry and Claytoven of anything.
Of anything, that's true. So yeah, we love them, and they're just great.
I cannot seem to raise DJ Severe. I know he's here running around somewhere.
Yeah,
probably has a stylish hat on. He brings the house. So can we tell a little bit about DJ Severe since DJ Severe is not here?
Okay. Well, DJ Severe is the world's most heard DJ.
Yeah.
He does the 80 or so home games that the Dodgers play every year.
Yeah.
He's responsible for the sounds that come through the loudspeakers. Those sounds, those songs, those tunes that we hear between innings, those tunes that we hear that get us charged up when guys come to bat, those tunes that we hear while the relief pitchers are warming up, all of the stuff that creates the audio for the stadium experience, they happen at the fingertips of our homeboy DJ Severe. He is also a tremendously in-demand DJ in Los Angeles, and for good reason. He does a lot of the parties, of course, for a lot of athletes in the LA area.
He'll be at a party, and anybody can walk up. Anybody can walk. It's LA. One of his clients one time was Larry. What the heck is his name? I can't remember his name. The interviewer, Larry King. Larry King hired him to do a party, and so Babyface might show up.
Right.
Bruno Mars has showed up,
of course,
and they always go see him because they know him.
That's right.
One of the best walk-up songs ever is Justin Turner's "It's Turned Down for What." I mean, the song already is short and hot, but now it's like "Turned Down for What." It has a different meaning when you got this guy named Turner coming out. He does that, and And all of the players in Major League Baseball always say the best music, their system is acoustics. The best sound, the best DJ is DJ Severe.
In all of Major
And
League
there is no
Baseball.
question about that. Yeah.
In all of stadiumness.
Right.
Of course, I'm somewhat partial to my nephew.
Yeah.
Raj Smooth down at the Superdome. But but we love DJ Severe. He's our homeboy. And he'll be here at some point.
Yeah,
Of course,
we'll
he'll
get
rock
him.
the house everywhere he goes. He also spun his girlfriend Jerry's 50th birthday party, and that was a rager.
Oh my God.
Into all hours of the morning.
Yeah. When the cops came for the second time to that party, they were nodding their head as they came up. They were dancing.
They danced on their way up the driveway.
And then Jerry pulls out the old, like, how this party isn't going to stop anytime soon. What's it going to cost me?
Yeah.
And they're like, not like a bribe, like, I don't care what the fine is.
Yeah.
It's just the cost of doing business.
Not only that, but, they were dancing on their way up, and they pretty much told us in a non-official capacity that they had to walk up the driveway and tell us to turn down.
Yeah.
To check the box.
Right.
But they knew that we weren't bothering anybody
Yeah.
really. And they were so happy to hear that just the whole neighborhood had come for a good time.
Yeah.
That, what can you do with that?
That's what DJ Severe does.
Allow it to happen. That's right.
He made the cops happy.
The thing that I love about DJ Severe is that he and I have shared so many funk secret handshakes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, actually at Jerry's party specifically, he would spin something, and from across the whole party, I would lean over and just look at him. And he would lean over and he would look back.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
You know I played there for you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You heard me.
Let me hit John with these horns.
He would do that. He'd be like, you heard me.
What's a song that DJ Severe would play to get your attention?
17 Days by Prince.
There you go.
It's so obscure. Or he would play When We Get By D'Angelo.
Oh, boy.
And we would just, oh, man.
We have not had a chance to talk about this and not capture it, but we have a few minutes here.
Okay.
And I just want to talk about seeing Dave Chappelle live.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Okay, so everybody says like, oh, were you there the night he got attacked? Fuck all the attack stuff. Because that has nothing to do with the incredible shows he was putting on for a week as he packed the Hollywood Bowl. Hollywood Bowl is a barn. It is, it's called 18,000 people. And he had that place all the way to the top row filled up, right?
Filled up, and everybody wrapped around his finger.
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate to set the table by saying that every single night was billed as Dave Chappelle and friends.
Yeah.
That was that level of ambiguity every night.
Yeah, you didn't know.
You didn't know. You bought the ticket. You spent money on the ticket just knowing it was Dave Chappelle, and whoever he brought was going to be a powerhouse.
Before,
you had no idea.
I think the night before, or maybe on Thursday, the first show, Pete Davidson is one of his and friends. Right? And there's nobody hotter in terms of social media presence, hilarity, and comedy. Yep. He wasn't there the night we were there. No. It was other people equally as great.
Yes. So the night we were there, the host was Jeff Ross.
Come on. That's great.
And then the lineup was Mo Amer.
Yeah.
Who is lesser known than the rest of the lineup, but hilarious and up and coming for sure. Everybody knows Mo Amer.
And by up and coming, he's a headliner in his own right.
That's right.
Just in this group, he was first.
Right. And then came Jimmy Carr. Who, oh man, that guy's hilarious on different continents.
Right.
And so inappropriate.
Well, he had a list of inappropriateness.
Yeah.
And he's like, pregnant lady jokes, check. That definitely made you guys mad.
Yeah.
And he was like just looking for where our buttons were going down the list. It was hilarious. Definitely check out Jimmy Carr. I think he's got a special on Netflix.
Yep. Yeah, he does. I think he's got 2 of them.
Yeah.
And then after Jimmy Carr, Jon Stewart.
Oh my God. Yeah. Jon Stewart walks up. Yeah.
And then of course, Jeff Ross is the host. He's just weaving in.
And they did like an instant roast of people in the audience.
Yeah.
And that was hilarious.
Yeah. And then after Jon Stewart, Michael Che.
Oh my God.
And of course, Che was awesome.
He killed.
Yeah.
He was so damn funny. He did a whole bit on inappropriate words that we're not even going to say on here. Here's how inappropriate his stuff was. If we say it right now on YouTube, demonetize the video.
Yeah.
But trust us, it was hilarious. He had the entire place rolling. And the thing is, each comedian just brought more and more. And here's the thing: it's not that they're better; they all know their job.
Yep.
And they do what they have to do, and then they get away and let the next guy come in
and ratchet it up.
Oh my God! And by the time they got then the music happened.
Yeah, and then the music happened. So there was a musical guest. There was gear on stage. No indication as to who it would be. But then Jeff Ross stepped to the mic and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, D'Angelo."
And we lost our minds.
Yeah. So now we were sitting with our ladies between us. And I just remember when he said D'Angelo, I went like this. And we crept out of behind our ladies at the same time and went, "What just happened?"
And we were screaming.
And I jumped out of my chair like a 13-year-old girl when the Beatles came to town.
Yeah.
Because when do you ever get to see D'Angelo?
Yeah.
And when he came out, he had Jesse Johnson on guitar. I lost my mind. Jesse Johnson himself is a funk secret handshake. You know, I put him up there there are just in the pantheon of funk guitar players. You know, there's Prince, there's Ernie Isley, there's Jesse Johnson, there's Charlie Singleton, and if you know, you know. So he was
there. He is.
Also, there was
I'm gonna bump you over.
Along with Jesse Johnson.
Take that headset off.
Raphael Sadiq.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
Keep going. Yeah.
On drums, Questlove. So that was ridiculous. I'm going to swing over to the other side. I'm going to let DJ Severe bounce into this spot, and we'll be doing it.
But hang with us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep it going. Come on over, man. Get over here.
That's right.
You got to sit in this chair right here. Yeah. So when we see D'Angelo come out, one of the guys playing drums, and there was no introduction. You had to know who everybody was. And so they had this guy everybody knows playing drums, right? It was Questlove. Here's the thing about Questlove coming to this gig that night, right? So you got to imagine Dave Chappelle calls him, "Hey, Quest, I want you to come play my gig Saturday night." And Questlove's like, "Oh, man, I got another gig. I'll be right over." So he canceled his paid gig to go do this gig with Dave Chappelle because he's like, "I'm not missing playing for D'Angelo. I'm not missing playing with, Raphael Sadiq and everything else." And also got to shout out Shelby. Shelby J was out there, and you've never seen someone sing. And in this role, she was like a backup singer for D'Angelo, but she could sing in her own right.
Yeah.
But she was like, if you guys know who Dallas Raines is when he does weather, she's like that for backup singer. She's down, she's squatting, she's into it. She is performing like it was, and everybody, you can tell everybody had a great time. Hey, man.
Hey, what's up?
We love DJ Severe. That's your camera right there.
Okay, right
yeah.
there. I can't hear you.
You got to put it on the other side. You're not going to hear us. You got to use your regular ears to hear us. Put it on
There
the
you go,
right
like
side.
that.
Yeah. Like this.
No.
See what's on my left side like this?
That's
Yep, just like that.
yeah, that
Now,
part
put it on
that where your finger is, that goes behind your neck.
This is live stuff. You guys bear with us for a second. Yeah.
Like this. There you go.
But on the microphone on the other side. Put that over your head. Yeah. And then like temple and cheekbone. There you go, man. Super easy. Yeah.
And you're not going to hear anything, so pull that above your ear. Got it.
All right, man. We got you covered now.
Look. Over the ear. Like sunglasses, not like headphones.
Yeah,
there you go.
got it. You don't got it?
No, there's nothing coming out of there. There's no speaker there.
You're doing it.
Yeah. That's
All right,
it.
Talk for me for a sec. Make sure you're good.
Check one.
All
Turn
right.
you up a little bit. I'm going to turn you up just a little bit. All right. So, first off, that's a big shiny ring you got on there. What's that?
Yeah. I'm wearing my
Dude!
rocking my-
Oh my God!
Today.
Look at that thing.
Show the camera that thing. Look at that. Don't hurt your eyes, everybody. That's a world championship ring right
Yeah.
there.
Trying to
Wow.
get another one this year.
Yo, you're going to get another one. Hell yeah.
We're
Now,
working on it.
I love talking about this, and then I'm going to shut up and let you and John talk. But Mike Brito has a couple of rings, right?
Yeah,
Now he had two, right? 81 and 88. He wears them on these two
Right.
fingers,
Right.
and I swear to God, everybody, he walks like this.
Yeah.
Like his arm is the heaviest.
He's
thing
getting
in the
slower
world.
and slower as he's walking. Yeah.
He's
yeah.
got 3 rings on his hand. Does he have like someone hold his hand up now because it's so heavy with those
No,
rings?
he still maneuvers on it every time you see him. I know there's two things he had. There's always two things he has: all his rings and cigars in his pocket like all the time.
Like a Mac would do.
Yeah, all the time.
He is
All the
absolutely
time.
mad.
Yeah, all the time.
You want to talk?
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw it over here.
So anyway, yeah, you know, this is the fun stuff that happens when you are the most listened to DJ in the world. You're responsible for all the audio experience from Dodger Stadium, and then your team wins a world championship. You get this. I mean, that is a nugget.
Yeah, it is.
Look at that thing. It's a billboard.
That's gonna give you like a frozen shoulder. That hanging down, you know.
You're gonna get some osteoporosis.
Look, we were talking already. We're already loving you up and talking about how you're the most listened to live DJ in the world, right? And how everybody knows not only that like you're the best DJ, and this is no knock on anybody else, but you know, everybody tells you like we go to all the ballparks. These are the players, right? They say you're the best DJ, and then you got to tell us probably because we're here at NAMM about that system that you got at Dodger Stadium and how much. Because now when you first got in 2020, you couldn't really drive it as hard as you could.
Right.
There's nobody there.
Right.
But talk about some of that stuff and just talk about like what. Look, you have an incredible job. Tell us why it's so incredible. And can we also mention that your birthday is on Jackie Robinson Day?
Right.
You went to Jackie Robinson High.
That's right.
Right. So start off with
love
the
DJ
system, L Acoustics, which they probably have I'm sure they're here. I have to connect with them like later on. But that system is the best anywhere because I think we might be, I'm not sure which other ballparks have it where you just have everything out in center field projecting everywhere because everything else is kind of like other stadiums is driven with like little speakers like in between. Ours is the only one that's driven and angled specifically for like different sections. And it's actually like our own sort of home field advantage because we know we're louder than everybody else, so much so that I think our friends up north said they weren't coming back to any home games this year because it's too loud. And then whenever you talk to some of the visiting people, they always say, well, it's so loud here, it's so loud here. And they secretly think it's the DJ that's turning up loud, but it really, like, management loves it, like, loud in certain instances. You know what I mean?
That's the complaining way of saying, man, you guys bump harder than everybody else.
Right. That's pretty much it. Because all the players love it, no matter what team you're on. Yeah. They love to come to the stadium because the music is good and it's just the feel. So I think that's also too why some of them play so good because we just got swept by the Pirates who came into town and they get energized but it's just a part of the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a part of the essence. I think every season my job gets doper because of like different things. Just in now, somewhat, I'm starting to get a lot of recognition from MLB and hearing about it or people acknowledge me as the best MLB DJ, which I'm humbled by and I try to work really hard at it. So it's very humbling to hear, but also I know I worked very hard at trying to achieve it and trying to keep it like that way. Just in trying to keep my interaction with the fans as well as the players and then keep the environment fresh for them. That's probably, I think, the dopest thing about it. And then just hearing people talk about the sound and how much they enjoy the sound. And then just even like walking in here today and like seeing people and like, hey, it's DJ Severe, which is kind of like tripped out for me to hear. And they're like, everybody say, the main thing they say is, I love what you do. So I like that part of it. That's the best thing. I love what you do. Because I work hard at trying to, you know what I mean? Even here, I'm thinking about songs and different things I want to like play today and like different
It never
things.
ends.
It never ends.
We were talking before you sat down about Jerry's birthday party that you played.
Yeah.
And you guys heard us talking about that. And then John was like, DJ Severe play a song, and I'd look across the party. And you know, there are a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And like, you guys would know, what's a song that you would play for John to get just his attention?
You know what? Every time I do a old school song at the stadium this year, because there's a couple, like the fire chief and I, we always talk about music. And there's this one security guard, tech head dude, and then we always greet each other coming in. And this year, I don't know how I didn't play this, but I play Rigor Mortis a lot by Cameo. And as soon as I do stuff like that, I always think about you guys, especially like when I play like like really signature
Something just
something that's just so funky. And the dope thing about it is, so Todd, the announcer this year, he's picking up bass.
Yeah.
So we always talk about different like bass lines.
All right.
So I'll play something and Todd will start like fingering the bass, and we start talking about just different difficulties in some of the bass lines.
Yeah.
Like recently I played Groove Me, the old school, and then we didn't realize how simple but complex that bass line gets when you really,
because you hear the horns.
You hear the horn,
Yeah.
yes. But when you start listening to like the bass parts, you're like, okay. And then Todd starts talking about like, you know, the measures like on the neck, which I never really like knew about. But every time I go to dig out an old school classic like that, and I'm like, how did I not play Rigor Mortis like before then? And then even last year, it was dun, 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 the Gap Band song, because I hadn't played that, and I was like, how did I not play this already? Because if people who come to the stadium regularly, they'll know my rhythm of playing an old school funk track like that. It's always the same time. It's usually second or third inning before the visiting team comes up. That's usually what I lead into.
Yeah.
That's when I play like my old school tracks. And it'll vary from maybe a pop track too, but an R&B track, but it's always going to have bass because our system requires bass.
Yeah.
I can't play anything that has a weak bass line.
Right.
It won't carry over well, and you won't get the feeling. That's what it's about, is to getting that feeling. But when Rigor Mortis hits, and so I played Rigor Mortis, and the security guard, he's like, man, Rigor Mortis. And so the other day, he was like, I can't. He's like, I heard Rigor Mortis, and so the other day was Fireman Appreciation Day, and I was saving fire.
Yeah,
I only played on that day, and he was like, and so that hit too, and it's like those old school songs, hit so hard and just right, because the bass is not overpowering and it rides right along with the system the way it's set up.
And the thing about the old school tunes from that era is they weren't trying to drive the bass so hard.
No.
So it just sits right in that sweet spot, right in that audio sweet spot. Man, I can't wait to hear something like, I mean, there are a lot, man, anything with Louis Johnson, Dookie Stick.
Yes. And I did Dookie Stick because he requested like that one. So I did Dookie Stick.
Yeah.
Like right after that. Yes. So anything like that with the old school bass, I'm on it.
Yep. Anything by Leon Silvers.
Yes.
And I know you keep your eye on the audience and you drop some songs, and sometimes if someone's there, sometimes it's a joke, usually not. You pick the right thing. But when you want to show off that acoustics system, you're like, this is the song. Like, here is what I get to play with. And then, have you turned it all the way up yet?
No.
Before? Yeah.
We can only, so
you can't.
We can't. And even in pregame, I have to look out, which is crazy. I have to look out to see how many people are in the stands, because it needs to be absorbed.
Yeah.
So when the players are just there, the players are always like, turn up. I'm like, I can't, because it'll just start reverberating, and you need people to suck in the sound. Now, and what we do a lot of times is like, and even the sound man Patrick, he's there with his meter, because he has to keep it below a certain thing. The only time that we ride past that is when we get the playoffs and they say anything goes, and that's when we just let it go.
So here's the nerdy part of, this is why DJ Severe is at NAMM, and this is why this is our tribe, because when you think about the responsibility of the audio experience at Dodger Stadium, you need somebody with the body of experience and the musical vocabulary to understand 1,000 different songs and how they plug in. Mm-hmm. And then you have to consider that not only is he trying to create a mood or turn up a mood, it has to be something that is appropriate for the audience of all ages that comes to see Major League Baseball. It has to be something that inspires everybody, all 52,000 people in there. It has to be something that's relatable to all those people. And he's still responsible for the fact that the spinning of a song moves air through that stadium, and you have to consider where that air dissipates. I mean, there's so much responsibility to what you hit on that play button and how you bring it into the stadium. And this is something that this is a craft that you've honed over years. And so this is one of those jobs where somebody goes, oh, I'd love to be Superman because he can fly.
Ricky's back there nodding.
You don't understand the responsibility.
Yeah.
And so somebody who has these capabilities, somebody who has this experience, somebody who you can put the good time of 52,000 people in his left hand because his right hand's on the wheels.
Yes, it takes.
That's what you get when you're looking for
takes
DJ Severe.
It takes a lot of knowledge.
I should be his press agent.
You could. It takes a lot of knowledge, a lot of musical knowledge, and also to be able to keep the knowledge of the old stuff that we like,
Yeah.
and also find the new stuff to work in there to correlate in there. One of the dopest things is like, so me and Gavin Lux, we probably talk about music the most out of anybody, and him, and so we'll talk about songs, and he'll ask me to play something, and at the end of every text that they send me says you're the GOAT, and I love it. So I get that from all the players to hear GOAT. You know what I mean? That's that I love that part. I love that part because for him to be that much younger than me, and we talk about like music, and for him to say I'm the GOAT, you know what I mean? And they know that that's like kind of like MLB like known. So this year I have a friend Polo who used to work at Dodger Stadium, and he works for the Cardinals now. And so Yadier's coming. Yadier's on his final like tour. So I told him, I said, Polo, please, I gotta meet like Yadier. He's like, Yadier wants to meet you too. So it's like to hear that like from about the person who I think is the greatest catcher, you know what I mean? That embodies being a catcher, to hear like, oh, Yadier wants to meet you too. That was like dope for me.
Man.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Yadier Molina would like to meet you. You know what I mean?
And you know it's sincere.
Yes.
Because we all have attachments to music, and you've provided the soundtrack for the chunk of his career that was so meaningful.
Yeah.
And all of those audio cues, because that moment when whatever there's 100 moments in a such a storied career, and just the right thing dropped at the right time.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to acknowledge though is that everybody who thinks they can do your job, you will have that list of favorite songs, and you're gonna go, oh, I always play this when this happens. You can't, because you got 80 something home games, and you got season ticket holders, and you don't want those season ticket holders going, oh, come on, man, you dropping this one again?
Right.
And so the satisfaction that we saw that you took from dropping something and seeing heads turn back and acknowledge that, oh man, you've done it again.
Like LA's got great sports fans, right? But you also have professional musicians,
entertainers.
Think of what they do. So
That's
they're
right.
like, they're paying attention. I want to ask you a couple things. First off, the real DJ Severe on Instagram. That's the best place to follow DJ Severe. You got to support our homeboy, because
you will see pictures you won't see anywhere else.
Like, oh, look, here's so-and-so next to them.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to set the scene here for you. The Dodgers want to recognize your continued service, and they will have DJ Severe recognition night. This happens all the time, these kind of nights. And so you're going to walk from that dugout area to the mound. Ooh. What song are you playing for you? Wow. What's your walk-up?
Okay, so everybody was asking me like what my walk-up song would be. And most people know I'm a huge Biggie fan. So I always say my favorite hip-hop song of all time is Biggie, One More Chance. But my walk-up song, and it's ironic because the Mets are in town, would be Nas, Made You Look, because I love the way that it hits.
Yeah.
And so I had to kind of really watch my playlist last night, because I didn't want to go so East Coast and the Mets are in town, and I'm kind of like, you know what I mean? Because our opening song we take the field to is Hip Hop Is Dead, and that's by Nas.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering for people to start making this correlation. So I tried to go so heavy West Coast last night that I wouldn't bleed, but I'm a huge East Coast fan. Now, if I had to go old school, which we love old school, the walk-up song will probably be, it would be a cameo song, and it will probably be, and I'm not just saying this because I dropped it, but Rigor Mortis, how it hits, because I could not kid you not, John, somehow I had forgot about Rigor Mortis.
Oh man, it goes in cycles. It
Just the
goes
way
in cycles.
Bum, bum, bum. Oh,
Yeah.
that would have to be my walk-up song.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I'm holding back playing that at least every night. Like, because
I'm sure.
it hits like, and I started thinking like Cameo was on one because this was so far before everything else they did. I'm like,
yeah,
when they were in the studio, like I was thinking like that studio session was incredible just to get those horns like that. And then me and you, we always talk about horns.
yeah.
And at that time, when there were so many horn sections around that were competing and trying to measure up to whatever bar, sometimes I hear some of the horn like runs, and I'm like, how creative they had to be to not step on people's toes with this, and then have your own sort of horn run. And everybody had to have complete horn sections back then, not just the trump. Like you had like 3 and 4 trumpet players, you had trombone, you had to have everything in there. And then just to find that many kids back in that day that were in the horns to be able to create that in wherever you were, Ohio or Chicago, you know what I mean? Just to be able to create that. It's such an eclectic vibe for me when you can put together like horns, and how horns got so lost in music up until like now, and it seems like they're coming back. I was recently talking to my kids about, they're like, I was like, every one of my kids, I always want you to do some sort of band throughout your life, no matter high school. Like, I don't care, just like take the class, because it will help you later on down the line if you keep music in your life when you get into those hard like times, like we all do. You got to have some form of music. And my youngest is 14, and every time we get in the car, you know how people complain that their kids always have headphones on and they're not paying attention. But I kid you not, my daughter, every time she puts her headphones on, I can hear Silk Sonic in her headphones. So to me, I'm like, I don't have to do anything else. Like, I did my job. Like,
she gets it.
She recognizes good music. You know what I mean? And I think I did my job.
That's
you know
right.
What I mean?
That's right. Well, the lucky thing for us is that you do your job for 52,000 people throughout the baseball season, and all of that bleeds over. And hopefully they take that good time and they spread that good time throughout Los Angeles and the surrounding area as they walk out into their lives all year long. So, man, this stadium is lucky to have you. Baseball is lucky to have you. And we salute you as always.
I appreciate some NAMM business real quick here. One, you were going to owe us a story, right? We helped get you in. You're going to find us something.
Yeah.
So what are you looking for the Break It Down show? And then 2, what else are you excited to see here and go check out?
Okay. The number one thing I'm always excited to see here is Jazzy Jeff, because I miss him every year. He's the one DJ I've never met. He's my hero.
Oh, man.
And everybody else who I know is like, you haven't met Jazzy Jeff? We're going to make that happen.
Yeah.
So, but I miss him every year. Every year I come, I either come the day before or the day like after. But the number one thing, tech wise, I'm here to see like the Pioneer stuff, because Pioneer and Rain are at the top right now, and I'm waiting on a controller to come. And I was just over there, and I wouldn't touch the one I'm waiting on because I can't wait I want to get my own to see. But to me, it becomes less about the tech stuff unless I know about it, and then more the camaraderie and getting the love from like the other DJs, and then like meeting them. I just recently developed real cool relationships with the beat junkies. Like, so a lot of people that I was fans of coming up are now like my friends.
Isn't it crazy?
So I get to like go talk to them, and we just kind of start talking stuff. DJ Dents is here. Who does the Clippers.
Yeah.
We just started talking.
I'd like to meet him in person.
Yes. Spark, who's Layla Hathaway's DJ, is here, who's like my close personal friend. She's over at the Pioneer booth. So we get into these like, and it's sad to say we're starting to get into these old guy, young guy, like talks about how we're not respected anymore, or how, you know what I mean? It's a lost art and everybody thinks they can do it. So, and we try not to get into those conversations. It's funny that you never thought you'd be having those conversations like your dad was having, like that music is this, you know what I mean? But at least we're still trying to incorporate the young DJ. So I just like to come, watch all the people that are cutting, because I'm more of a blender, but I still respect like the cutters,
the guys who cut.
But I don't want the blenders to get kind of like left behind, because as much as cutting is an art, blending is like even more of an intricate all right, when you can mesh two songs together and bring them together like in a perfect marriage, and someone not even know that you're bringing those songs together.
Yeah.
That's how I was kind of like brought up in as far as DJing, because that's what club DJs did. Because you had vinyl and you were bringing them in and you were like doing different things. But the most part for me is just the camaraderie and trying to make the connections now to kind of garner the respect that's there, and then moving forward for the next 10, 20 years, you know what I mean? But also respect the music. Not enough people are talking about the music,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And we all know this. I was even telling Ricky when we were walking in, I was like, you got to watch who you see, because you never know who will be walking through the stage, who like was one of the, especially if you know producers,
Yeah.
and you start seeing, oh, that's the producer of this or that, you know what I mean? And you see them walking through the halls, just like a normal geek, like gearhead like you, and they're just going to go, I just want to try out this keyboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's so dope to me. That's the one hidden part, because this is like a convention for us. No one knows about this world but like DJs and musicians that come in here. Like, people don't realize who might be walking in here, like, or who's coming here, and that everybody's is going about their lives around, like, all around LA, but everybody's probably condensed around here.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You never know who you'll see. You know?
We got Ray Parker on the show on Tuesday.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
want to pop in?
Oh, I do.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
set it up.
Oh,
boy. Yes.
yes, I do.
Yeah.
Tell
You
us
want to
why
talk
Ray
about the
Parker
funk?
gives you that reaction.
Because, and it's not even what people think. Ray Parker and radio,
Yeah.
when I was making like extended songs on tapes,
Yeah.
radio, I remember, and radio is one of the first albums with Jack and Jill that I got on Columbia House for like 12 records for like a
Yeah.
penny.
A penny. Yeah.
That's one of the first ones. And I listened to his Questlove interview years ago, and I was so enthralled. I didn't know he was the guitarist on Stevie Wonder.
So
Yeah.
many records.
So many
Yeah.
records.
Dude, Lovely Day by Bill Withers.
Bill Withers would just show up at his house.
Yes.
And just hang.
Yes. But to hear his story about growing up in the same
Oh, yeah.
area as Stevie Wonder, and then like, hey, coming on and like playing it, those are the things, the correlations that you used to get from the liner notes. Because when you open up a record, you start looking at the liner notes and you see. And I'm sure I'm positive that back in the day I opened it up and I saw Ray Parker Jr. and I made the correlation with Stevie Wonder, because I was notorious for tearing through liner notes, like knowing them like the back of my hand. That's how I discovered like Rod Temperton.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then just all those different things. But man, Ray Parker Jr. and radio, Jack and Jill, and just all the It's Time to Groove. I love Ray Parker.
Yeah. Me too. You know, when we started the show, we would have these conversations, and Pete would always say, "Who's your top 5? Like,
Right.
yes, you got to have." And I would say I had 4, and then I would keep the 5th one floating. Like, I go, I don't know, maybe this person, but I never filled that 5th seat,
Right.
so we could keep talking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
But the top 4, you know, were Herbie Hancock,
Yes.
J.R. Robinson,
Yes.
Ray Parker, and Sly Stone. And so we've had 2 of the 4. This will be 3, and then we got to get Herbie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get Herbie.
Yeah.
You got to get Herbie. It's funny when you go to when you know about people like that, and you go to like their social media, and they only have like 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like you
How's
must not
this?
know
Yeah.
like what this person has
Yeah.
done.
But that's what this is for.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what the NAMM Show is for. You brought up Rod Temperton. I met Rod Temperton at the NAMM Show in probably like 1989. And then not more than, I think it was about 3 years ago, we were here and met Greg Fillinganes. So, you know,
Yeah.
those things happen.
They do happen, and you
Right
have to be
here.
paying
We met
attention.
Omar Hakim here. And,
Wow.
Last time, yeah.
It goes on and on and on. When we first interviewed you, you talked about how you were like breaking out Bryce Vine, and then we're like, we're gonna get you guys together. This is one thing that's great about our show. So Bryce and DJ Severe on the same show, and that's fucking awesome. So now we're gonna introduce you to Sage Logan, who can sing, and you're gonna love it. And I'm gonna introduce you guys.
Okay.
If not together face to face, I'm gonna send you some links because she's got new songs dropping. And she's hot. You're gonna love what she does.
Yep.
I'm gonna do a little bit of NAMM business here, then I'm gonna let you guys talk, and we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
So everybody, look, we're here at NAMM. It's the music industry's conference. Everything's here. All the brands are here. Microphones, guitar racks, everything. This is where you want to come and check out. There's all these brands that you know and love. Fender, all these people, they all are part of this community. You see like DJ Severe is here. Everybody in music is here, and that's why we're here. Big thank you to those guys. Big thank you to AKG. Big thank you to JBL for setting up this fantastic. This is great.
Yep.
Being able to sit right here in the middle of the floor, the vibe is great. People walking by all the time, taking pictures and stuff. All of this is fantastic. I'm going to say this real quick. The DJ's real. I'm going to shut up. Awesome. I love you. I can't wait to see you. I'm going to come to a Dodger game. Always great to have you hang out with you, man. It makes my heart happy. And so, John, what do you want to say?
I just want to echo that love, man. One of the joys of our show, and there have been thousands, but one of the really, really big ones, like you said, when you admire somebody for a long time and then they become your friend, that's really what has happened between me and you. We've admired you as a DJ. You've been, spinning for Dodger Stadium, just doing a job that very few people in the universe are capable of doing season after season after season. And man, I'm happy to say that just from time to time, I'll just trade texts with my homeboy, and it'll be some like deep inside shit.
Yes.
So it's been a lot of fun.
Anything in closing from you?
No, I feel the same, because anytime you can connect on music, that's just a deeper connection that you can make. And once you connect, you're more ingrained. It's separate from your family. It's separate from your other interactions, because you come together on something that gives you that feeling in the pit, and you know what I mean?
That rigor mortis.
Yes, like rigor mortis, like rigor mortis. And when you can translate that feeling from the song to relationships, it's the best thing in the world.
Yes.
And thanks to Sean, who's going to be here with us too. We'll check in from time to time throughout the show. When we go live, support us, put some comments in there. That's all great. That's why NAMM has us here, is to help support everybody. And we'll see you all later on this afternoon.
Hey, thanks for watching the show. I really appreciate it. Right here, you can subscribe. Please do that. It makes the show grow. Hit that notification bell so you know which incredible guest is coming up next. Down below is the PayPal link. You can put a small subscription in. That is an enormous help. All that money goes right back into the show. And then right up over here are the next episodes you should listen to, curated by yours